Hello, chefs. Good evening. We're back again. I'm Isaiah, the young Jedi chef, here with the Dragon Warrior chef, German Lam, and the Phoenix Warrior chef, Noreen. We will be your host for today's podcast. You are listening to a unique podcast where we discuss tough yet real topics that need to be heard in the industry. In this podcast, you will hear the truth, real, raw, and unfiltered. Today, we have the honor of having Bruce Capella with us to talk about conditioning your body for success in our day-to-day lives. I'm excited to get started and jump right in. So without further ado, I will let our star of the show, our guest, Bruce, introduce himself. Bruce.
Hi, Isaiah and Noreen and German. Yeah, my name is Bruce Campelia, and I'm 76 years old, and I'm here because the oldest one here can maybe give some wisdom to everybody. Anyway, and I've made more mistakes in my life, so that counts, a lot. And my background educationally is in engineering and business, and also I have a PhD in health and natural health, and it's sort of a mixed bag there, but it's been it's certainly informative for me in my lifetime and how I conduct my life and try and integrate the pieces together. That's the course I pursued. I've been in big businesses and corporations, done my own startups, done a foundation for kids and actually have worked with German and trying to mentor these kids that are of diverse backgrounds because they're our future. And we spend a lot of time not only in food, because that's a German specialty, but also conditioning yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. I mean, that's the way we have to balance things. And we try to bring that to light. And all of my work in my life, including my writing now in a book series and a newsletter and things I do, uh, still integrated into that sort of philosophy of you have to be prepared. And in this day and age, I mean, particularly right now, look at what's happening in the world. In our country, people are off guard. There's no sense of urgency, which is now starting to happen because of what's going on out there. And German and I know that. Look, he's been a cancer survivor. I'm looking forward to the end of my life, so that's always a wake up call. But that sense of urgency, I think, is what I like to talk about, and the balance between that and the things you eat, the toxins that you take in, the exercise you get, and your mental attitude in life. That's sort of where I'm coming from.
Bruce, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm super excited to talk about what we're talking about today. Your background, everything that you have done. You could really share a lot with us. So I thank you so much for being here today. So body, mind, spirit, and soul. Those are the four words that have control over how we're feeling, how we perform, and things that could determine the outcome of our day. If one of those things is out of balance, it could lead to long-term effects and could be life-changing, in turn, the growth, our success, and stunt our growth. So one of the most important parts of keeping your mind, body, spirit, and soul in balance is to know yourself and to know what makes you happy and healthy. This differs for everyone, but it is essential to understand in order to live a successful life. So, what are some healthy habits that you practice on a daily basis that keep your mind, body, spirit, and soul in balance? And what works for you and what doesn't work as well for you? Bruce, you want to get us started with that?
Yeah, okay. I guess on a daily basis, well, I'm living in Minnesota now, which is like a flatlanders. And I used to live in New England and I hiked a lot of mountains and the White Mountains in there. So I'm struggling recently over recent years trying to stay in shape the way that I need to climb big mountains, especially at my age. But I do still try. So I generally eat a balanced diet because that's my background and my PhD is in that. So I do like sweets, so I cheat, but that's okay once in a while. That makes you happy, right? You're talking about happiness, which is important. But I certainly try to eat well, and I think that's just basically taking in the right foods in moderate quantities and try to keep out toxins. So those are my primary ways I try and counter that, and then staying in shape. I try to, walk, jog, 20 miles a week. And when I get a chance, I do stairs because I have to get in shape for climbing mountains. So now I'm revving up for the summer. And in the summer, I go to Boston. I do a lot of hiking. I got some big hikes planned there. So I'm starting to step up my activities as far as the physical side. But I think toxins to me are extremely harmful in the environment and your food, and now mentally. The mental state of affairs out there is difficult. It was in COVID, and now it's even with the political situation, everything's it's bad too. And you need to overcome that because toxins, I think, are the worst thing that you can face.
No, I love what you said about that, Bruce. Toxins could really come in any form, in food, the people you hang with, your daily practices and habits. If you decide to go to the gym or not, though, if you decide to go out and drink, that's something that could be a toxin to your body. So different things like that are important to remember. And then implementing the healthy habits of, okay, I'm gonna eat the salad and then I might have a bite of cake after to make my soul happy, but I'm gonna implement these small healthy things that make a big difference. So thank you so much for that, Bruce. Noreen, Chef Lam, what's your take on it?
I think I am very similar in what you were saying, Bruce. I love to hike, and now that I'm in Florida, which is very flat, I am struggling to have one of the similar activity to kind of replace it. I do walks on the beach. It's still different than being in the forest and on mountains, and I'm sure you can understand that. But I'm someone who doesn't particularly love going to the gym. I just like to stay active. So doing different activities like playing tennis with friends, like going to the beach, like swimming in the pool when I can. And walks are great. My friends and I love to take walks at sunset when we're off. So really simple things keep you moving are really important. And it doesn't feel like exercise. It's an opportunity to socialize. It's an opportunity to meditate and to observe the nature around you, and that brings me joy. I love doing that. So that's what I try to keep in my daily or weekly habit. Eating breakfast. I'm not someone that eats breakfast, but I have to do it because I need energy for the rest of the day. And eating a good breakfast, like eating eggs and high quality cheese, high quality vegetables, not just cereal all the time. Cereal is fortified and it has great minerals in it, but being very picky about what snacks I have at work, what kind of drinks. I stay away from energy drinks. It's a really big thing in the industry. I would rather have a coffee. It's natural, it has antioxidants. Maybe not 4 cups of it in the day, that's too much, but it's way better than a monster. So that's something that works for me. And I'm really trying to find new things to keep me active and keep me social. That's really important for me.
Mhm. Now, I love what you said, Noreen, and those healthy habits are different for everybody. For one person, it might be going to the gym, but for you, like you said, it might be taking a walk on the beach. And whatever works for you, whatever is going to make you happy, you know yourself best. As long as you're getting out, moving, socializing, and practicing healthy habits, that's all that matters. So thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lamb.
Well, I gotta say, what Bruce said, right? I mean, he's 76 and he has a long journey, which it's gonna be fun and bumpy. And you mentioned, when you're 50, he converted, right? And for me, I look at it as like, wearing this white jacket, especially in the kitchen. Um, Starting off, martial arts, running, hitting the gym, and that really kind of helped me throughout my life. And even when I'm not wearing the white jacket, I found out that it's the mindset. So as we, when we're done with work, now we have our personal life. And I realize you can't keep switching on and off, right? Because in one way, that switch is going to burn out. But if you are constant with your mind, now you're like in space. You know what I mean? You're doing things where you're working out, where you figure out, wow, it's so cool because no one's going to teach you that, right? Because you know, where we are right now, I mean, you got a third that don't like to work out, a third, one third, gray area, you know, why should I do it? Then you got one third that they're committed, you know, they're like Spartans, you know, when we're in Rome. And how did they create great warriors? Well, they took you know, a girl and they took a boy and they had like, well, when we come together, we're going to create a Spartan. And reading history teaches you how cultures in the past, how they created body, mind, spirit, and food. You know, so to me, it's not like I'm not that smart. I just enjoy reading and I enjoy, you know, telling from what cultures actually talk about. Like my guy, Bruce Lee, you know, I mean, he's a dragon warrior. I love him, you know, because to this day, there hasn't been anyone, and we're in 2025, think about it, that really kind of leapfrog. And he's saying that to the world. It's like, hey, who's going to leapfrog me? You know, I mean, that's what, you know, that's what life is really, you know, really about right here. So for me, it's really saying, you know, what's your purpose in life? And sometimes failure and darkness is the best pain because you don't have time now. You know, like for me, you know, cancer came into my life. Now it's like I live or I die. And there is no gray area. And I can't go, you know what, let me go on the sideline and kind of sit on the couch and figure you don't have time, you know? And to me, life is really about right now. So
Exactly. And I love what you said about turning on and off the switch. You got to keep it on. You know, it's about turning those habits into a lifestyle, not just doing it sometimes, but being consistent and doing it all the time. Because, you know, it works the same way with bad habits. If you say, okay, just now I'm going to do this one thing, you know, it won't hurt this one time. Eventually, it'll turn into a lifestyle that you maintain, and your life could go downhill from there. So I think maintaining those good habits, doing those small things on a daily basis, even if it's just something small every day, 30 minutes, I'm gonna go to the gym, 30 minutes, I'm gonna take a walk. You know, those small things make a huge difference later in life. So that's super important. Thank you so much, Chef Lam, for that. So another key factor to staying in balance with yourself is recognizing when you are out of balance. It is important to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself, especially in the hospitality industry. We're so focused on pleasing others, we forget to please ourselves and make ourselves happy. So now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, story time. How do you recognize when you're out of balance, and what are the specific, or sorry, was there a specific time where you knew for sure that you were out of balance, and how did you handle the situation? You want to get us started, Bruce?
Okay, well, let's see. Yeah, I think I know I'm so tuned to it over the years recently that I know exactly if I've eaten something bad, it all reacts to me pretty quickly. And so I know if I've been eating wrong. I know sometimes if the stress I'm under and doing certain things, if I don't sleep, that's a key one for me because that sort of really disrupts my day. And so I think for me, staying in balance um, is fairly easy in a way because I'm aware of it all the time because I try to teach it and all that. But I also wanted to just comment on what Noreen was saying. I think it's very important for people to know that anybody can do this. So it's not like you have to climb mountains like I do or run a marathon or do stuff like that. That's a discipline I've learned over the years because I push myself. I'm not just that type of person. But most people can get by and they do well. 90% of being healthy is doing most of the things right during your day, but doing it in a way that's, yeah, it's moderate. You can get a little exercise. You can eat properly without overdoing it. You can read a book and enlighten yourself and teach others. You can do these little things. And to Isaiah's point, I think part of that is really what is integrity. I think you were getting at that sort of, you have to have integrity in all this because one thing affects another. And, to me, it's always been stress, which of any kind of stress and toxins in your life and mental stress these days that throws things off the most. But you can overcome that by having that sense of integrity and knowing that you can do it. Anybody can do it. It's not, you don't have to be like me.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's all starts where you put your mind at, wherever you put your mind at, your attitude will determine how high you go, So that's super important. Thank you so much for that, Bruce. Noreen, Chef Lam.
I love that you brought the word integrity, Bruce, because I think part of that is also just being honest with yourself. I think we know ourselves better than we give ourselves credit for sometimes. And I love this question because if I'm going to be honest, I'm out of balance these days. I've noticed that. I'm not sleeping. Sleep is the biggest thing for me as well. I have to have 8 hours every night. That's non-negotiable for me. So when my sleep is very like disrupted, I'm not getting good quality sleep. Maybe I'm not eating as well as I normally do. I'm not doing the activities I enjoy. And I start to feel stress, burnout, exhaustion. That for me means I'm out of balance. So I need to take time away to invest time in my hobbies, not work more, but hobbies. I need to go join a book club. I love to read, and I think I miss discussing books with other people. So it's time to sign up for a book club and do that, once a month or twice a month. And that's for me how I handle that situation. Purposefully eating good quality foods so that I know I'm giving my body what it needs. Because starving it of nutrition is not going to make me feel better. I'm just going to feel worse. And then I'm going to want more chips and more chocolate cake and whatever else is your weakness. I talk about chocolate cake a lot. That's my weakness. I love it. So a little bit's okay, but having a piece every day, something's not right. So going back to the activities that bring, mental calmness, like I enjoy this. I like going to a museum. I need to go to one and just breathe for the day. That for me is how I rebalance. And sometimes I'm out of balance for a longer period of time. And that takes a little bit more reflection. Like, what is it that's putting me off balance? Is it work? Is it family? Is it something else going on in my personal life? And you have to tackle whatever it is that's bringing disturbance into your life instead of ignoring it. And that can be difficult sometimes, but that's like where the integrity comes in. Like, you are the captain of your ship. You have to be honest with yourself. Which direction are we going? And you drive.
First of all, Noreen, thank you so much for really being personal with that and sharing your story and what you're going through now. And like you said, recognizing is the first step. And sleep is super important. I notice it with myself, and same with me. I've been off balance lately too, with not getting enough sleep. And at work, my mind is really foggy. It puts me in a moody state. I'm not able to be there, be my full self for the guests. And it shows. So when you yourself are not at a balanced state, when you yourself can't give your best, it shows in your work, it shows in everything else. So you need to make sure that you're doing good first for yourself. That way you could do even better for others. So making sure that you get your full amount of sleep, you get your meals in, and you work out, or you do something that makes you happy is the most important thing. And then you could do better for others and be an example for others in that way. So thank you so much for sharing that, Noreen. Chef Lam.
Well, you know what? I'm listening to these great stories and, different stage, different age group. And, me, I love the word freestyle. Freestyle means you create a recipe that works for you. But for that to happen, you really have to go through like a lot of pitfalls, highs and lows, highs and lows. And once you figure it out, you're not going to be a yo-yo anymore. You're just going to be constant, right? And especially in the kitchen, consistency. Consistency of whatever ingredients that you're touching. Your eyes are so powerful because your eye is going to say, are there a pebble? Are there dirt? Are there a plastic, particle in there? Is there a piece of hair? For me, I learned, as a chef, when you wear this, white jacket, is the detail, and detail comes from your eyes, and that means, if you went out, you party, you had too many, shots, whatever, the next day, you're not going to be consistent. Something's going to happen. That food, it's not going to be where it should be. and the taste, the balance, and the word I call it love, right? What love really shows when you are able to block everything from the world, because now it's just you and the saute pan, you and cutting, you and cleaning, you and prepping. So that moment of just shutting the world, and that is something that you learn throughout puberty. You know, no one's going to teach you that. We hear it, you know, there's a noise, but your focus, your mindset. And I think right now, to me, that is the essence right there. Because if you're able to take your mindset and suddenly just close the whole world and wherever you are and just have fun with what you're doing, now it's like Kyle Ripken, right? I love baseball, man. The guy played over 3,000 games, you know, without missing a game. So I'm thinking for him to do that, he really dedicated and trained to be, hey, I'm a professional. And I think, you know, that tells you a lot about life, about you as a person, you know, because there are a lot of amazing icons in the world that people have done these amazing, you know, tasks. And all you got to do is, like, you know, learn how they created that streak. And from there, now you add everything into your freestyle recipe. And the next thing you know, you're just flowing.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Chef, it's about conditioning and what you do outside of work that impacts your daily work. And noticing the details is it's hard to do when your mind is not fully there because you didn't get enough sleep, or when you're tired, or because, you know, if something else is on your mind, you know, or if your body's not feeling right. It's hard to notice those small details that are important, and that those lead to, you know, bigger mistakes. So thank you so much for that great advice, Chef. So one way to encourage ourselves and to stay in balance is to have goals, and kind of what we were talking about, you know, something that we're striving to achieve. If we set our mind to something that and we want it bad enough, we will do whatever it takes to make sure it happens. So what is your biggest motivation or goal in life, and how will being out of balance or unhealthy affect the outcome of those goals? Bruce, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Actually, mine's been building over the years, and going back to the integrity thing, because I think that all the things I've done in the past sort of based on seeing kids as the future, seeing people want to be healthy, a healthy society, and all that. And the things that I've done for nonprofits or my businesses they sort of align with that. And one of the things I think my main goal is to continue to do that. I'm doing that through my writing now, and I want to try and find a way to help people overcome other things that are happening now in the world. So that's my goal. And I wanted to also comment on, because Noreen mentioned that, well, you know, finding what's good works for you is important. And I think it's really critical. And part of the problem I see is that all through the years, when we start, we're born and we get fed this information from our parents and from our siblings and from our coaches and from the teachers and from everybody on down, your business partners and everything. And you're bombarded with this information about who you are, what you can do, what you can't do, and stuff like this. And so it's hard to know what's good for you because you don't know you. And I think you have to learn, and this is part of that answering the question, because I think this is what I try to get across to people, is you need to learn about yourself, and you do that by ignoring some of that past advice. You have to look in, you have to take the time, and you have to look in and find out who you really are before you can teach other people. And I think that teaching other people is the goal in life, to find yourself and then help teach other people. And part of that, in my view, is I look at now, since I'm older, I look at it, I see this bookends kind of thing. I see you guys, Isaiah and Noreen, you guys are young. And well, German's not young, but he's not as old as me. But the bookends are me and you guys, and German's got a life. He's got kids that are just in the college now and all that. And I see that young kids with the energy, but are being tripped up now in society because of what's going on. and it's like they have trouble finding their goals, finding what to do, but they have a lot of energy that we need to channel. And my end of things is, excuse me, people like German and my daughters and people like that have families. They don't have time. They're busy. They have enough trouble just getting through the day. But they also need to find themselves and do that. But it's harder for them a little bit, I think. And for my generations, I'm a boomer generation. Well, we protested against the Vietnam War. We're like you guys at your age. That's what I was doing in the streets, protesting and all that. And I think that people in my generation are at a point where they need to share that information with people in your generation because you're next. And it's perfect time now because of all the stuff that's going on, the stress that's out there, everything. It's similar. It's rewinding itself. And so my encouragement is to try to get everybody to understand, particularly your generation, to see, okay, hey, there's a path forward here. Know yourself, and then become a leader. Teach other people, because you can do that. Anybody can do that, and that's how we're going to change society. So that's a long way of explaining, but my goal is doing that.
No, I love everything that you said, Bruce. Knowing yourself is super important because there's so many, like you said, so many people out there from birth that'll tell you what you are, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, different things like that. But you have to learn to think for yourself. You have to believe in whatever you believe in and go for it and teach others and inspire others. And there's so many people that have told me I can't do things, told me, oh, no, you won't be able to do this. And I've been able to do it. So just putting your mind to things, knowing what you stand for, knowing what you want to do, knowing what you believe in will in itself inspire others just from doing what you do best. So I believe that's super important, and staying true to you, and helping others along the way, I think is one of the most rewarding parts, because you could become great, you could, be successful, but if you're there alone, it's no point, you got to bring people up with you. So thank you so
Exactly.
much. Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. Noreen, Chef Lam.
Oh, I love this discussion. I think my goals in life tend to be kind of vague, and because I'm young, and as I get more experience and learn from people, it becomes a little more focused. And I love, Bruce, that you mentioned like one of the things that a lot of us need to look at as young people is leading others along with ourselves onto the journey of whatever success looks like for each individual person. And that's something that's important to me. I really just want to get enough experience to feel confident as a leader. And that's something I want to do is, build something for myself, whether that's a business or an organization or whatever it may be in the future, a philosophy, so that, hopefully can pass on wisdom later on in life to young people and keep that cycle of learning going. And it reminds me a lot, Bruce, of what you said of the conversations I have with Chef Lam, and like, who are you? What kind of leader do you want to be? What kind of person do you see yourself being? And that can be a hard question to answer. What's your brand? What's your identity? And it's not that it can't change, but you want to feel very good about what you're putting out there. And so self-discovery is important. Go get different jobs and get different experiences. And that's what I'm doing. Meeting different people from all walks of life, all different ages, listening to them. I love taking and listening to advice from, people in Bruce's generation or even Chef Lam's generation, like my parents' age. They have a lot of wisdom. Like we should, be listening to what they can pass down. So I think like just being open enough to learning is very important to me. And it's what I continue to try to do. One day, hopefully, be a good leader.
Yeah, I love that, Noreen.
Believing in yourself too. That's so important. And if you make mistakes, that's part of it. You can't be a
Yes.
leader. You can't be confident in yourself until you do.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said, making mistakes, Bruce. And on a daily basis, I make mistakes, but it's learning from those mistakes and becoming better after those mistakes. Not repeating the same mistakes is how you grow. And without mistakes, you're not trying. Without mistakes, you're not, challenging yourself. So mistakes and failure are essential, but it's how you come back from them. And like you said, Noreen, learning from other people's stories is also important as well. You're gonna have your own stories, you're gonna learn yourself, but also learning what other people did and listening to their advice, taking their wisdom and using it to your advantage is super important. So thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lam.
Well, I love this because storytelling. I have a book on Amazon. It's an ebook. It's called "The Dragon Turns to Water." Chef German Lam fights cancer with a freestyle lifestyle, and that is my recipe. And to me, it's saying, yeah, this is how I approach life and death. And remember, life and death gives you one shot. That's the thing about you don't realize that you either win or you got the L. And think about the L. That scares the shit out of you because you can't come back from the dead. That's like like a movie. So to me, training development is my forte right now. And think about in the world, right? Everybody are billionaires, but you imagine if someone says, "Hey, my story right here is going to teach you how to get through whatever the world is going to throw at you." Now that right there would be very competitive to hear of sharing of how do you prepare daily 24/7, because the wealth part, it's easy and does not make you even closer to 100. So think about that, 70, 80, 90, 100, you could be a billionaire. It doesn't get you even closer. I think it even gets you less closer because of what's in your mind. So this topic right here, and especially having Bruce as a guest, I mean, it's a treasure chest. This is something that the world does not emphasize enough.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with your point. And a quote that I love is everybody dies, but not everybody lives. It's kind of like nobody can escape death but there's a lot of people that go through without really living their life, without really doing what they wanted to do in life, without taking the chances, without, ever going for their goal because of either something somebody said to them, how they grew up, what they put in their own mind. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies. We're our own people that detriment our own plans. So I think being able to just go for it and being able to condition yourself to say, okay, I'm gonna do this, and knowing yourself, like you said, Bruce, is important to that. So just going for it, achieving your goals, and living that healthy lifestyle will help you with all those things. So we have about 5 minutes left. What is one last piece of advice that you might have for young people that are just now starting their journey in life, and who should they look towards as a good example to how they should, want to become or how they should live? You want to start us off, Bruce?
Okay. Well, I think I really go back to really trusting in yourself. I mean, and getting that self-confidence. You have a light. Everybody has a light, and we're all different, and together we shine brightly. And you have a light. Just sometimes it's finding it as a profession or what you like to do for athletics or something like that, or your career, or whatever. But I think it's you yourself. You need to know that you are a light, and start there, and then go out and do things, and don't be afraid. I've made so many mistakes in my life that I just say go out and do it. Just do it, and don't worry about it. That's
I love
that's
that.
my only advice.
Yeah, be your own light. See the potential in yourself. Thank you so much for that, Bruce. Noreen, Chef Lam.
It's very similar idea. But for me, just watching, I have a very young sister. She's 15 years my junior, and just watching technology and the way that it affects our lives. My advice is get off your phone and go do something else. Whether it's going outside and staring at a tree, talking to a friend, whatever it is, just get off your phone and take a chance. Take a chance on something else outside of just tick, 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 tick. It's a distraction. It's a tool, but it's also a distraction. So being aware of that is a big piece of advice I give to my sister, and I give to my friends as well, and my parents too.
No, I love that, Noreen. Get outside the house, do something, get out in the sunlight. Like if I'm in the house more than 2 hours at a time, I get bored. I drive myself crazy. So I think getting outside, staying active, and just, doing what you like to do is super important. Find hobbies other than your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that's,
being bored is okay. You don't have to be stimulated 24 hours a day.
I go
That's
crazy.
what gives your brain the ability to be imaginative. Allow it to be bored. It's okay.
No, that's a good point. Get to sit down and relax. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lam.
Well, you know what? People are the key to success and failure. You could look at the minute you're born to someone like Bruce, I'm a mentee. He's my mentor. Why? Because think about the age group. I can't speed up. I can't catch up to him. You know what I mean? That's the thing about beauty of life. And you can't slow and rewind and go, hey, you know what? I want to go back when I was 6 years old, So the beauty is when you meet people and they do these amazing things in life, you're listening because they're sharing with you about trials and tribulations in life, the pitfalls, the failures, and some success. And I think that's what keeps you going is really connect with people. To me, I always enjoy talking to anyone because that person has so much life. But that's me, that's how I go through my day. It's the life of someone's storytelling.
Yeah, I can agree more. We all have a story and we all want to be heard. And sometimes all it takes is somebody to listen, and that makes a huge difference. So thank you so much for being on this call today, Bruce. Really means a lot. This call not only impacted the ones listening, but will also impact those that are connected to them. Here in this call today, we have made history and helped shape the way of the future. So thank you so much for listening, and see you guys on the next call. Thank you.